Clint Eastwood wins for Unforgiven. Ponder this. Beverly Hills, 1993. The Four Seasons corridor is full of Oscar winners sipping whiskey and producers in Armani suits. However, one figure stands alone near the grand piano, eyes furrowed and arms crossed. A rising star actor across the room is smiling, joking, and dropping names while recounting a story that concludes with a bad imitation of the old cowboy director. Everyone laughs, but Clint. No sound from him. He finishes his drink, nods to the waiter, and leaves without looking back. There was no fighting or scene, only final quietness. Why did Warner Brothers suddenly remove that actor's name? After Clint Eastwood heard something. People talked about it for years, but Clint never said a word. He didn't get angry in public. He didn't post online. He didn't run to the press. He just disappeared from the situation, quietly, coldly, and for good. Now, at 94, Clint has finally opened up, just a little. In a rare, honest moment, a pattern started to show. 5 names, 5 people he never forgave. They mocked him. They doubted him. They thought he'd forget. But Clint didn't forget. And he never let go. First on that list, Michael Moore. Moore made fun of Clint to get attention. Clint didn't fight back. He just made sure it wouldn't happen again. In 2005, at an award show, Clint got on stage and said, "Michael Moore and I actually have a lot in common." People laughed until Clint added, "If he comes to my door with a camera, I'll kill him." Some gasped, some laughed nervously. Clint stood still, serious, silent. He meant every word, because Clint Eastwood is a man who lives by a code. And when someone crosses that line, he doesn't forget. Clint didn't smile. He didn't laugh it off. He didn't let the room breathe. The tension? It was like gunpowder in the air. No jokes, no show. Just a warning. After that, Michael Moore never crossed that line again. But Clint's anger wasn't just about a single moment. It ran deeper. Moore was becoming famous, especially after his film Fahrenheit 9/11. The documentary slammed the Bush administration and criticized the U.S. military after 9/11. It won awards, made headlines, and it drove Clint Eastwood crazy. You see, Clint grew up admiring World War II heroes, silent soldiers, real sacrifice. To him, Moore's film wasn't just political. It felt personal, like a slap to everything he believed in. Clint had just finished $1 Million Baby. He was preparing to release Flags of Our Fathers, a film about courage, pain, and memory. But Moore? Clint saw him as someone turning pain into profit. They never worked together again. Never appeared in the same frame. Never spoke. Clint didn't do public feuds. He just erased people, quietly. Ask him about Michael Moore today. He might raise an eyebrow, grunt, and change the subject. But Moore wasn't the only one. There were others. Other directors who pushed Clint too far. Next was Spike Lee. In 2008, Clint released 2 films, Flags of Our Fathers and Letters from Iwo Jima, 2 sides of the same war. One from the American view, one from the Japanese. Critics praised them. They were raw, honest, and unlike anything Hollywood had done before. But Spike Lee said something was missing. He called Clint out, publicly. He said Flags of Our Fathers ignored Black Marines. They were there, Spike said. Some died. You can't just erase them. And Clint? He snapped. Not with silence, not with a shrug, but with fury. A guy like him should shut his face, Clint said. It wasn't just a reply. It was a warning, Western style. Because when Clint Eastwood speaks, it's not about volume. It's about finality. DiCaprio stayed quiet, but Clint didn't wait. Cut, move on, he told the crew. Behind the scenes, whispers started. One crew member said, "It was like watching a racehorse run in cowboy boots. No yelling, no walkouts. But the set was tense. Two great artists, two very different methods, silently clashing over how to tell a story. Leo tried to adapt. Clint refused to bend. The movie got made. It was released. And then, nothing. No second project. No friendly interviews. No praise during awards season. Clint still mentions Bradley Cooper and Morgan Freeman with warmth, but not Leo. Some say they just weren't a good fit. Others say Clint found DiCaprio too dramatic, too self-focused. Either way, when their paths split, Clint never looked back. But the next name? He didn't just challenge Clint's control behind the camera, he mocked Clint's entire reputation, publicly. Seth Rogen. Some enemies Clint forgets, but not loud ones. In 2014, American Sniper hit theaters. Clint's film about Navy SEAL Chris Kyle stirred controversy. It broke box office records and started a cultural firestorm. To many, it was a tribute to veterans. But Seth Rogen saw something else. Just days after the release, he tweeted, "American Sniper kind of reminds me of that movie in Inglourious Basterds, the one where the Nazi sniper is killing allies." Some were shocked. He never named Clint. He didn't have to. Comparing American Sniper to Nazi propaganda was loud and sharp. Rogen said it was just a joke, but the damage was done. Clint, he didn't tweet back. He didn't release a statement. He just went quiet. But friends say he was furious, not just because of the insult, but because it was public. No call, no conversation, just a hit and run. Later, Rogen apologized. He said he didn't mean it that way, but Clint never responded, never worked with him, and reportedly told his team, if his name's on a casting list, take it off. To Clint, the worst thing isn't criticism. It's being mocked by someone who thinks everything's a joke. But not every grudge was loud. Some were quiet and personal, like the one with Gene Hackman. They were co-stars, equals, two giants. In 1992, they made Unforgiven, a film that redefined Westerns. It won Oscars. It changed everything. On screen, they seemed like a perfect match. Off screen, tension. Clint ran a calm, controlled set. Hackman didn't. He was intense, hot-tempered, always challenging, always questioning. During one key scene, Hackman stopped everything and said, "That line doesn't work. I'm not saying it." Clint just stared at him. Then in a quiet, deadly voice, he asked, "You will?" No yelling, no outbursts, just cold, sharp silence. The two men never argued in front of the crew. But the tension? You could feel it in the air. They finished the film. They each won awards, but they never worked together again. Years later, when asked about Unforgiven, Clint praised Morgan Freeman. He praised Richard Harris. Say there was respect, but not friendship, not after that. And Clint? He never invited Hackman back. Hackman retired from acting soon after. Clint moved on quietly as always, because for Eastwood, chemistry isn't about fame. It's about trust. Break it even once, and the door closes, forever. Clint Eastwood doesn't slam doors. He just never opens them again. Gunslinger's silence. Clint never raised his voice to make a point. He wasn't messy. He didn't rant. Just him and the watch. If you crossed his line, you'd never hear from him again. No warnings, no goodbyes. That's the cost of disrespect. Charm and collaboration may make you a star in Hollywood, but Clint Eastwood, he built his legacy on loyalty. These 5 celebrities learned the hard way. Working with Clint Eastwood was never just a job. It was a test. Respect, discipline, ego control. Some passed, some didn't. Now it's your turn. Did Clint's grudges go too far? Or was his silence the only answer? Leave your thoughts below. We read every one. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications to hear more untold stories from Hollywood's quietest legends. Because for every name Clint Eastwood quietly shut out, there's another he quietly admired. We'll tell you about them next.